Hey guys, so this video is going to show how to get a project ready to frame. I was recently at Michael's and the framer guy was like, oh, don't you just wash them with like Dawn dish soap? And I was like, no. So I figured I would make a video to show what I do to get my projects ready for the framers. So I'm bringing this one to the framers hopefully tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. This is called Spring in Town by Grant Wood, stitched by me. A Bit of Stitchery is the Etsy shop that I bought this pattern from. This is about 35,600 stitches or something like that. But anyway, it took me 101 days. I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited to give it to somebody special soon. And I'm going to give it a bath today. So what I have is I went to just my local grocery store and I found this really gentle kind of laundry soap that is like no dyes, no perfumes, no nothing. So when I get this framed, hopefully it stays nice for as long as I want it to, because I spent enough time on it. So then I have this. It has absolutely no bleach in it, no nothing. I'm just going to use the most gentle stuff I could find. I have 3 towels here that are just my dish towels. This is really raggedy. The other thing you could do is just a nice terry cloth bathrobe. I was too lazy to go all the way upstairs and grab one, so this will do for now. And after I'm back from brunch later on today, I'll probably grab one of those and do what I'm going to do with these, only with a terry cloth robe. A bath towel. So I will show you what I'm going to do with these right after I wash this. So one of the biggest important steps to remember when washing all textiles is that colors can run. The thread that I used for this, they say that the colors do not run, but I'm not going to make that gamble. I'm just going to assume that they are. So I'm going to use cool to cold water to wash this. Before we started this video, I washed out my sink. This is where I do dishes. This is where I do a lot of stuff, and it was not linen approved. So I washed it out with just some regular dish soap, and so now it's ready to go. So I'm gonna just get my water kind of cool here, and I'm gonna plug this up. It's just kind of tepid. It's not warm, it's not cold. It's kind of right in the middle, really gentle. You could wash a baby in this. This is a little cool for a baby, but there before it was okay. All right, so then I'm just gonna grab my project and I'm going to put it in the water. There it goes. You can just get it nice and submerged there. You don't need tons of water. And then remembering with embroidery, the back of this project is really secure, but I'm not going to really crank on it with my hands or just really be rough with it because I don't want any of the stitches to come out. So I'm going to grab some soap and I'll put it into the cup. You don't need a lot because it's going to come out. You don't need a lot because, as you probably are aware, laundry soap goes a long ways. So don't need, a whole cup full. Good heavens, this is one little tiny piece of work. So I'm going to piece by piece, kind of like shampoo, and I get this in there, and I rub the soap onto the linen like this in the project, and I rub with my hands. I keep this hand stationary, and I just kind of, like I'm washing my hands, only there's a piece of cloth between my hands. Does that make sense? I hope so. And the reason I'm washing it in the first place is because I've spent thousands of hours, probably hundreds at least, making this project, and as clean as my hands usually are, people around me can attest, I'm obsessed with clean hands, there are still oils on our skin, and so when the oils get on fabric like this, and especially when it's white, the oils will turn things yellow over time. And the last thing I want is to see this on a wall somewhere and be like, oh my gosh, there's a handprint right there on my project. That would really drive me crazy. So anyway, that's the reason we wash them. There are some projects that I haven't washed, and there are projects that I haven't spent enough time on to wash. I just don't feel like it's worth my time. Like a one-day project that I've hardly touched, I'm not going to bother. Especially if it's not very high stakes. But this is kind of high stakes. This is going to somebody I love very much and means a lot to me, and I don't want them to look at it someday and go, well, there's Kelly's thumbprint. That's great. So anyway, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm I'm gently, but I'm firmly, kind of like you'd wash your own body. You don't want to just like, really get into it, but you also don't want to leave schmutz behind. You might not see any dirt come out there. I had a project that I just framed that I'll put on the blog here in a couple of days. My Monet that had just literally a dark streak of dirt and grime and ish, and it didn't matter how much I cranked on it with my washing, it did not come out. And so I just framed it really, really close to the stitching, so that was my plan originally anyway, but so if someday somebody takes it out of its frame, it's like, oh, there's some dirt. That's great. Okay, I think we're about done. It'll take a few rinses through with water to get all the soap out, because as you saw, I used quite a bit, but again, not even a full cup. Good grief. Anyway, you can hopefully see the suds there. It's like, kind of like if you were shampooing your carpet or something. You don't want too much, otherwise it gets just saturated. Okay, so now I'm gonna get some of this out. Like I said, my sink is clean, so otherwise I'd be like, oh no, there's bits of banana in there. Great. I always start with a clean sink and clean hands. This morning I put on makeup and I had foundation on my hands still, and I was like, oh, I need to wash my hands before I do this because I don't want foundation on it. So clean, everything clean. An OCD person's dream craft, this one is. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my rinse cycle with, again, cool to cold water. It's almost 40 degrees below zero today outside, so this does not necessarily feel very good, but it's okay. So I'm just running it over the whole stitching, because just like anything else, if you leave this soap on this project, it will also stain over time. So it's important to get all the oils out, all the soap out, all the dirt out. Keeping that one hand flat and running the water over it. Okay, now it's really, really important, this next step, not to crumple your work, because if you crumple it, it will not be possible, or very, very difficult at least, to get the wrinkles out of it. So that's why I have these towels down. I'm just going to take this very wet, very saturated piece of work, and I'm just going to bring it over. Feeling to see if there's any more soap in it. I don't think so. I think I got it all. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm just going to lay it flat. It's kind of fun when it's the colors are super saturated because of the water. It's really pretty. I love that. Okay, now I'm flattening it out with my hands, but after this, I'm going to try not to touch it very much. There will be times that I have to touch it for ironing and for taking it out of the shoebox that I'll bring it to the framers in and stuff like that. But really, if you can, try not to touch it, because again, those oils on your hands, they're going to get on the piece and it's going to make it yellow over time. Not immediately, of course, but yeah, over time. So now I'm just going to take these towels. I'm going to wrap it up in a cross-stitch burrito very carefully, so it doesn't make wrinkles, but it also gets some of the moisture out. And so there you have it. That's the first step in the cleaning and framing process. In about 4 hours, it's not an exact science, not even by a close shot, I'll take this out and I'll put it on a terry cloth bath towel, and I'll do the same thing. And then when it's just hardly wet, just like right on the edge of being dry completely, I will take it out, put it on another clean dish towel, and I will iron it very, very carefully so that it is nice and ready to rock for tomorrow. So hopefully that was helpful. Bye.